The city for the only united for one, for the difference to be the only poetry you can find, the culture, then detangle that for the ball or not. What do we have here? Is it beauty? Is it reading a resource? Or this to be the poet after all, for the world to link your hands? Stake of fire for the throne, the thine, the wire, for the memory of the mind, for which you can find a poet. I slept so long over that flag, and I can't brag, but I could put but pledge allegiance. And I can hold that list, but the dumb as it seems. Dumb as it sounds sometimes. It was freedom from the mind. I'm coming to meet that idea. As far as I'll stand, I can't find the comedian. Find the language of real. Slowly on the pain for the cracking of the blue. Torn the air, but it was confused enough for the year. For the city, for the only united for one. For the difference to be the only poetry you can find, the culture. Then detangle that for the ball or not. What do we have here? Is it beauty? Reading a resource, or this to be the poet after all, for the world to link your hands. Stake of fire for the throne, the thine, the wire, for the memory of the mind, for which you can find a poet. I slept so long over that flag, and I can't brag, but I could put but pledge allegiance. And I can hold that list, but the dumb as it seems, dumb as it sounds sometimes. It was freedom from the mind. I'm coming to meet that idea. As far as I'll stand, I can't find the comedian. Find the language of real. Slowly on the pain for the cracking of the blue. Torn the air, but it was confused enough for the year. For the city, for the only united for one. For the difference to be the only poetry you can find, the culture. Then detangle that for the ball or not. What we have here is a beauty. Is it reading a resource, or this to be the poet after all, for the world to link your hands? Stake of fire for the throne, the thine, the wire, for the memory of the mind, for which you can find a poet. I slept so long over that flag, and I can't brag, but I could put but pledge allegiance. And I can hold that list, but the dumb as it seems, dumb as it sounds sometimes. It was freedom from the mind. Coming to meet that idea. As far as I'll stand, I can't find the comedian. Find the language of revel. Slowly on the pain for the cracking of the blue. Torn the air, but it was confused enough for the year. For the city, for the only united for one. For the difference to be the only poetry. Find the culture, then detangle that for the ball or not. What do we have here? Is it beauty? Is it reading a resource, or this to be the poet after all, for the world to link your hands? Stake of fire for the throne, the thine, the wire, for the memory of the mind, for which you can find a poet. I slept so long over that flag, and I can't brag, but I could put but pledge allegiance. And I can hold that list, but the dumb as it seems, dumb as it sounds sometimes. It was freedom from the mind. I'm coming to meet that idea.
You can find the devotion, listening to lovers sleep breathing. You sound like a truck and I don't know what I am, it just must be like you. Broad as it may speak, for the night is forever, for the blood shot, for the hours of the books, and you can breathe that moth wing longing. The life for the love me in a hurry. One from the curve and once you're wounded then.
You can find the devotion, listening to lovers sleep breathing.
You can find the devotion, listening to lovers sleep breathing. Sound like a truck and I don't know what I am, it just must be like you. Broad as it may speak, for the night is forever, for the blood shot, for the hours of the books, and you can breathe that moth wing longing. The life for the love me in a hurry. One from the curve and once you're wounded then. Look like a dolphin leaping out of the slipping through the skin of the water next to. How you find devotion for the listening and the lover to the music, and you'll find yourself sleeping breathing. How you find the hang time for the mirror of the tongue worse, hung with the first language. Find that prayer next to the heart plan. Say it on my deathbed and never leave me. Some way and enough of this, find some way outside for deciding what you can sound like. These would be the words that come along the way for the help. Let there be elsewhere, else, where words would find space between us. picture for the sunshine. They wouldn't find a patch just to host the reader. Who's to read me? Who's to find that space and time loaded when it was the first turtle for this to be the gamely assured for the love poem took shape? Looked like a repentance tattoo for this to be the language and emotion of that basket weave. Carry me along for love and hold me like cold water, not for to be the hot skillet. We were thrilled and find the hands unraveled by the perfect orange when you left your home with the citrus taste and you dripping enough of the word to belief. For the translation was a necessity, for the impossibility, for all the seen and unseen, for the world be happy enough for the peace for including ourselves. This would be the wonderful opportunity to find whatever you put on the universe and eventually return. Boomerang bad and people leave and this would be coming back to me, but it wouldn't kill me enough to have that for the wandering spirit for the you can find that for whatever happened in the past.
You can find the devotion. You can find the devotion. Listening to lovers sleep breathing. Sound like a truck and I don't know what I am, it just must be like you. Broad as it may speak, for the night is forever, for the blessed shot, for the hours of the books. You can breathe that moth wing longer. Your life will love me in a hurry. One from the curve and went wounded that like a dolphin leaping out of the slipping through the skin of the water next to. How you find devotion for the listening and the lover to the music, and you'll find yourself sleeping and breathing. How you find the hang time for the mirror of the tongue worse, hung with the first language. Find that prayer next to the heart plan. Say it on my deathbed and never leave me. Somewhere and enough of this find some way outside for deciding what you can sound like. These would be the words that come along the way for the help. Let there be elsewhere and else, which words will find space between us. You can find a space between that for the picture of the sunshine. You wouldn't find a patch of this to host the reader. Who's to read me? Who's to find that space and time loaded when it was the first turtle for this to be the gamely assured for the love poem took shape? Looked like a repentance tattoo for this to be the language and emotion of that basket weave. Carry me in love and hold me like cold water, not for to be the hot skillet. We were thrilled and find the hands unraveled by the perfect orange and you left your home with the citrus taste and you were dripping enough of the word to belief. Translation was a necessity, for the impossibility, for all the seen and unseen, for the world be happy enough for the peaceful including ourselves. This would be the wonderful opportunity to find whatever you put on the universe and eventually return. Boomerang bad and people leave and this would be coming back to me, but it wouldn't kill me enough to have that for the wandering spirit, for the you can find that for whatever happened in the past. Changed lives is this shrub. Forgive me, I say to that, life is just paper, my jaws rust. When any poem for divine for the innocent of a curdling of the body water, forgive me. These degrees of morning, paint still wet for this to be the magic railed up inside this music. We can find a city so you can never sleep and we can never. We can find you can put down for the universe and eventually return. Either be the zone and concern for this to be decided for what you can find and what to sound like when you can find an idea for who's the upper hand for who's the person not waiting. You eat the flowers and footfalls. You fall for the flowers and you smell the color of love and the memory. Cities can never sleep, forgive me. My life is just a paper and I must have told you already. Left after the smiles and days after. Either that who folks do to take care of that for the rendering, who's you change that invigorating mind for the remind me. Able to only take care for that to do the who's the word for the sleep that restores the strength and mind for the rattlesnake for the language of potential the emotion that for this to be the only heat of strength. Find a definition of the love. To wake up in existence to recognize fragility. New moons and waters healing. Leave a jar open beneath that full moon, let it rest. Let it get easier enough to find the plan for the reference to turn the page and pass that for the lit exam. You'll find that color running down the pen. I pass it in for the tongue without my mouth. Sings the loudest, knows you cry. She says enough of the words and can't speak, for the words crack the spell. Taking your time for the bringing me a rose to define the pinot over the wine and praise about it for the sky to let me tongue when gone and gag and be easy to find a friend for the age to delete that. It was a turning of the page and you could find the deleting of. There was no time to bring me the rose and I could find that wine. It was a vow for the pledging to sit upright inside of my coffin. It was the water that was healing to leave my jar of jar and open enough to stay calm for the hold still. Hold still. Just stay there. You'll find that moment forever, something inside. You must be caught in alert for this to be the cloud of panic in the inner arm. And I don't know if you grazed that for the wound that'll be the guard. Called to wake up in your own existence to the recognize that fragility of time. Maybe it was left to clean up that mess. Tongues line recrafted by the care. Bent over the moon, but this is only cloud sense. I passed this poem and this for the nemesis of the muse. I could never have written it about you. I went to define the definition, but here's one, the lover who waits. You clear and find the resistance, the image, and you can find the acting of events. Touch without a name, for it isn't difficult enough for the course, and this will be the only the broadness of. You can find a narrow. You can find that railway station. I asked where the train to where you are, for it was a train enough for them to find you.
mostly through collections, and you were the song, a voice of the spirit, a contributor. More or less, you have that translation, not to be distinguished. You look like a puzzle, but only for so long. Carry me in my heart. My imagination is gone swiftly, gently. Carry me, literally, among the others. Released that for to be produced and then found, more or less, where I was seeking. It was me for the truth. Ever looking, peeking. Extend your heart for the article. You've opined that patch, and this will be your everlasting tool, the foundation. It seemed rather simple. Right, funny, and fresh, as precious as a friendship. The deep resonance in the spirit and sight and the sacred of nothing. Richly finding that and end up joined in an effort for to find your independence in the press. You press on nerves continuously. There was no use to that song being hummed in the morning. However you would like to call it, you can find it. One note at a time. One note at a time, and find that language that the ancestors ground walked on. Why you look so much like a sibling to me? All the wrong places. Why do we look there? Gone. Grew up in those places and never seemed so far away. Crows you heard inside that screeching, singing, crawling on after the love of the survivors, so you could be the human disaster. Each one left at home for the new juice inside your mouth. Voices of children come breaking the way to the heart. Broody and beautiful, it's brief and violent. Swear you could lie back forever for the stylist. You can find that scratch, you can find that song. It begins again. Gracious as a tender man for the no idea for the concept of this place, and nurtured itself with the conversation the same afternoon. Standing there at the table like nothing was care in the world, for this to be all you want, for the love of you escaped us. An evening that had expected rain, out of the window clouds lifted. You were looking at goodie bag for something which you can call a rose and not to be the same. Even though a rose, it must be invalid, and petals and always rearing towards that sun, for you can find it bound, it's broad, enough to chop up the queen's angel. You can find that constant, making room for the vows to stretch the backs, and I would not oblige you, and I ain't lost inside of this bag. Floating somewhere in a primordial pool, and you've got you, and I got the journey that must end because of my destination there. My son will live with clairvoyance to define yourself for this much of his flirt. I know what I need. Everyone knows what's haunted. You can find that in the sense of the poem, and you can find that for the salvation. Now I recommended you. It was the definition of a lover who waited. And I sorta like that idea for the floating somewhere, but you never felt like this. And it's not too familiar. Yet standing with slow violence and brutality, and this to be the place that you can find your reading throughout this. This is poetry like not what I am, for this am like sharpened blade for the memory, and this is how you can go to the concern for the regardless of how it happened. You can go for the concern, but it wanted that to say for the sake most, and not for the loss what it was saying. The figures are left for the wind swept her language, and if suddenly you can find that she will read it or understand. Be patient by the moon, looking for proof that I live there, desire to keep you awake, and if you asleep on it, you can. Find the crucifix darted through the back door. It was an orgasm, accused of another, but everything but love. And I could not break myself from caring, but only you to seek you for the finding of you who whisper into that poem that you were not lost or you weren't meant to be. Crouching before that for the bearded flower. You can find that bird from the miles away, for the tentacle to find the bird out for this city color.